afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome on in. My name's BullMuscle. I'm your host. Hopefully, I'm coming through live right now, trying to figure out something with Stream Elements is just deciding to not play very nice right now. So, let me know if audio visual quality is good. So, welcome to the only stream I will be doing here in this place. So, long story short, I have been staying with a friend since I got out here to Hawaii, and my friend had to move because her lease was up, and we're staying. This is her new place, but I'm only going to be here until Tuesday, at which point I'm finally moving into my permanent apartment, so that should be really good. I'm very happy about that. Do not understand. Let me check one more thing real quick. You just really Stream Elements? You're just gonna sit there and spool, aren't you? That's super helpful, and by super helpful I mean not at all. Currently lurking. Well, it's good to see you liking. Welcome on in. Again, hope audio visual is good. We're just trying to figure this all out. It's just being really a little bit frustrating this morning, but it looks like the connection's good. Don't seem to be dropping any frames, which is great. Much to talk about, much to share, much to do. So, let's first start with what I've been up to the last 2 weeks, because I believe the last time I streamed it was 2 weeks ago. Last week was the move, that's why I didn't stream. I was busy moving from there to here. Wasn't that big of a move distance-wise, but unfortunately it is up quite a very large hill, and because I use a bicycle to get to work, it's very fun in the mornings going down, but coming up in the evenings, I am cooked by the end of it. So definitely some pros and cons to that one. In a similar manner, I am going to, it's a little bit better, sorry, just getting the camera angle right. In a similar way, I'm going to be working on the microphone up a bit. In a similar way, I'm going to be going down a hill to get to my workplace at the new apartment, but it'll be a little bit smaller. It's not quite as bad, and it's a little bit closer to the town as well. There's pros and cons to that. It's close to the town, which is great for getting supplies and meeting people in down there. By the town, I mean Honolulu. The cons of that is that there are some really nice parts of Pearl City and Aiea that become a lot less accessible as a result. However, really all I need to do is ride my bike over to the train station and take the train wherever I really need to. So it's not actually that hard to do there. So that's been sort of the basics as far as what I've been up to in terms of moving. Now, in terms of the job, it's been pretty fun. Started off, I finally got my common access card, so I can actually use some amenities on the base, like the exchanges and the gym. Really pretty useful. So at least in that aspect of things, it's going a little bit better. Really wish I had commissary access. Unfortunately, I do not, because it here is for active duty only. Unfortunately, there's not much I can really do about that. So, as far as groceries are concerned, I've had to start really tearing into Costco, because that's especially out here, the sticker shock is real. It's real to the point where I have gone the old-fashioned route and actually started a price notebook. Now, this is something you may have seen a housewife from 1965 doing, but it's still just as useful now as it was then, so I can compare all of these items I've put in here. For instance, fresh chicken thighs I can find for at Costco in bulk $1.79 a pound, or $3.49 a pound boneless. So the question is, right, when I go to other grocery stores around here, Safeway, Times, Foodland Farms, you name it, I can compare prices to and from Costco, and for the most part, I do believe Costco will be the most cost effective, because Out here, you have to import almost everything, which is definitely, it's not very price efficient. But there are some items, usually loss leaders, that groceries like Safeway or like uh, you know uh, Foodland Farms might use as a way to get you in the store, and those would be the ones I shop for. And this is how I will compare them to see, hey, is this actually a good deal? Is it worth me taking my time over, to go and get, I don't know, whatever it is, salad greens, right? Uh, so definitely had to deal with the sticker shock. That's not been fun. The job, though, has been quite fun. So for those of you who don't know what I'm doing, right, I'm a nuclear engineer by trade. Y'all already knew that. And I'm in the state of Hawaii. So you can figure out pretty much by default what I have to be doing out here. So for those of you who like the YouTubers, Habitual Line Crosser or One Punch Dad or Mandatory Fun Day, who gets to touch the boats? I get to touch the boats. There you go. Don't touch the boats. Actually, I still have more training to do before I can touch the boats, but eventually I will be able to touch the boats. That's what I mean. I know security office would rather I didn't say explicitly what it was that I'm doing, but again, nuclear engineer plus working in Hawaii, there's really only one thing that could be. But it's really good, actually. A lot of what I've learned my job is going to be is making sure that we protect our four major customers, right? So the first is the sailors, our active duty men and women. It's very important to make sure that they are not exposed to anything radioactive. Yeah, my hair is long. I might cut it. So my modeling director has been saying not to cut it, but I might do that anyway because he's over in the Philippines right now. We'll get to that. He's over. Actually, no. Forget what I was saying. I was rambling anyway. My modeling director's over in the Philippines right now. As it turns out, he's got a few advertisers who are really interested in having me. So they are going to talk with him. I may be starring in a commercial over there. That'll be over in Manila or in Quezon City. So really quite excited for that. I've never been to the Philippines, and I would love to go. I like the Philippines a lot. There's a lot of similarities, I think, or parallels to the Philippines in Asia, Mexico in the Americas, and Poland in Europe. A lot of family values, very good cooking, very, very strongly Catholic. At least for Philippines and Mexico, both fought off the Spanish to get their independence and have had the United States meddle in their affairs. I'm not quite sure how to phrase that accurately, but you get the idea. So that's been really fun. That's been entertaining. I've got my first modeling shoot coming up in early August, so we're working on the cut cycle. Actually, can tell you last weigh-in was did I not weigh in on that day? I guess I didn't. 217 pounds, so we're moving in the right direction on the cut. I've probably got maybe 5 more pounds of body fat to lose. Not much at this point. Really, 215 I'm pretty happy at. 212 I'd probably be, that's the golden point. Do not want to go below 210. I've got pretty visible abs at this point. I would say that bulk really did work. I'm not as vascular as I'd like to be, but as it turns out from modeling, that's not really desired anyway, which means, right, like for modeling, it's seen as, you don't want to be a bodybuilder. You want to be seen as fit and in shape, but achievably fit and in shape. So, I'm definitely listening to my modeling director on that one. I've also got another friend who is a model, previously was a competitor for Mr. Hawai'i, and might end up becoming a business partner of mine. We'll get into talking about that as well. So it's been very, very busy, very exciting, apart from those items. Oh, that reminds me, I had a protein bar this morning, so I need to document that I had that. So we'll go bar, it was 170, 22 grams of protein, think it was 5 grams of fat and 21 grams of carbs, something like that. Talio, good to see you. Welcome on in. So a couple other things I've been doing, right, is a lot of reading. I have been really trying to up my game on this one. It's a yearly goal of mine that I've already successfully completed, but I want to go a little bit more into this than I have been. Yo! Lab Boys, welcome on in. Good to see you. But in the last few weeks, I've already read through probably one of, in addition to Early Retirement Extreme, one of the most foundational books of the FIRE movement. This is called Your Money or Your Life. This is by Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez. And this book was originally written in 1992. And there are some places where you can see the book has shown its age, but it is still very much, in most respects, quite timeless. The advice in Your Money or Your Life is excellent. That bike build, yes, I know, bro. Lab Boys, that bike build video is absolutely popping off. For those of you in my channel who have somehow not seen it, just type in !lab and you will get to go see it. My homie Lab Boys here built an incredible BMX bike. Strongly recommend watching it. The video quality on all of his work is very, very good. And I have nothing but positive things to say. So definitely give a shout out to my main man Lab Boys. So the second book I have read recently it's called Cash Flow Quadrant. So for those of you who have never heard Rich Dad, Poor Dad, there is a multimillionaire entrepreneur by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. And Mr. Kiyosaki he's a businessman, actually, a Japanese-American businessman who grew up here in Hawaii. And he had his father, who worked for the state of Hawaii as an educator, worked in the educational system and worked all his life and didn't really ever get very far ahead financially, which meant as he climbed the ladder, so to speak, he had less and less time to spend with his family. Whereas his best friend's dad, which he called the Rich Dad, was a entrepreneur, and as time went on, got more and more free time and got progressively wealthier. So he learned a ton of really valuable things in life from both dads, so to speak, but he called it Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is the sequel to that book, specifically called Cash Flow Quadrant. So you have 4 quadrants. You've got E, B, S, and I. The E is for your employees. Those are people who go to work and get a paycheck. It is probably the most stable of all 4 quadrants, but it is probably also the most limiting, and you are ultimately trading your time for money at some level. The S stands for self-employed. If you're self-employed, these are usually your artisans, your small businessmen, your contractors, your people who do, if you're a carpenter, or if you're maybe a doctor who set up your own trade. That's a good example. The B is for your businessman. That one's pretty obvious. So the E is you work for a boss. The S is you work for yourself. The businessman is other people work for you. And the I is investor, which means your money works for you. I have spent most of my time in E. My stuff on Twitch is a little bit of S. I am looking to do a little bit more B stuff, but really where I'm trying to move to is the I category, as that is being an investor. So I've actually got a couple friends out here who have proposed a few business ventures, and I'm looking some of them over, and I may be investing in them. More to come on that one at a later date. It's looking pretty promising, but we'll see where it goes. So I'm definitely looking to become more of an active investor. I've still got my base, which is the Boglehead stuff, your S&P 500s, but with my play money, instead of just having it solely invested in the stock market, I think it makes sense to find actual businesses and work with the businessmen running the business to try and provide capital as a financier. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, 1.6K, that's pretty good, bro. Congratulations. I'm very pleased to hear that. I'm in category R, overly invested RE automotive. I'm actually really still extraordinarily bullish on RE. Their CEO went on Bloomberg again. They have been at a bunch of different trade shows. They're already settling up with multiple dealerships for sales. The sales just have to roll in now. And I don't know how you make the sale exactly, but it seems to me as though the price for their vehicles is around the $160,000 mark, which is very competitive given their class and given that most states, especially California, where they're trying to target sales, because obviously offer up to $100,000 in tax credits and rebates for buying new electric cargo vans, utility vans, and class 2, 3, 4, and 5 vehicles. Only getting that Plano skate park review edited today. Can't find my mic cable though. Oof, that sucks. But otherwise, it's been pretty good. So those two books have been very rewarding. Hang on a second. Might be on if you're at Harrodsburg's Historical Society for Atiwa's historical figures. Oh, that's fun. JJ, good to welcome you on in. Would borrow yours since we have the same mic, but you're into the ocean. I am into the ocean. I am several thousand miles away from you. Aloha, JJ. There we go. Sorry about that. Had to send something quick. Big Red, you need to talk to Boar if he shows up on any of my streams, because he's moving to Cincinnati, I think. Actually, I say Cincinnati. I think he actually said he might be moving to northern Kentucky. So I told him to hit you up for some advice about the local area. Portraying James Eisenberg, the former businessman who spearheaded the preservance of Harrodsburg. Oh, that's cool. That's really nice. The third book I'm reading right now, by the way, is this one. This is Building Wealth with Dividend Stocks. Randomized. No, you'd never buy jewelry, but style-wise, would I rather wear a gold necklace or a silver one? Really wouldn't wear either. Most of this is for safety concerns, especially on the job. I have to, there are good industrial reasons not to wear a lot of metal stuff. But if I had to choose between one, I'd go silver because it's a little bit more understated. But I wouldn't ever wear either. But yeah, I'm not much in the way of style on that. I must admit. JJ says I look so happy. I am. This is one where I've talked about this a lot. Giving pointers in the Lexington area. That's still good to know. I appreciate that, Big Red. Yeah, if you see Boar in here, or if you're ever in the Discord, Big Red, please, y'all two should talk. That'd be a good friendship. Crossbow, welcome on in. Yeah, so I'm streaming a little bit earlier today, and I'm streaming on Saturday instead of Sunday because Sunday I may be doing a hike out towards Hawai'i Kai. So we're doing. I may be a bit busy on Sunday where I would normally stream. I need to spend that money gambling and buying exotic cowboy boots. So right now I'm reading more about dividend stocks. I like the idea of dividends. In particular, it's a good conservative. Dividend stocks are slightly more conservative than the overall post office job died. That's a pity. I know Dodger ended up losing her job, but it sounded like it wasn't going well anyway. So y'all both bounce back on your feet. I believe in you both. One driving class did me in. Oh, that sucks. Let's see here. Yeah, Crossbow, I have not seen you in a hot minute. Good to see you, as always. I will be back to playing RuneScape fairly soon here. I still don't have my computer out, but I will probably be playing that more on the Discord than on Twitch for now, because I just don't have I don't have the capacity to run that on this computer and stream at the same time. I may do that upgrade. It's really going to come down to, would it be cheaper to ship my tower computer over here or upgrade my laptop? Taking a break. We're 6 months into lifting though. Love to hear that. Dude, hell yes. So important to keep, right, you got to have your priorities. And for me, and for most guys, I think the gym should be very close to the top. It should be right up there with work. fact, you could argue it's even higher than Ward. Miraja is good to see you. Have not seen you in a minute. License to move. Welcome on in. Am I planning on early retirement? So, this is the golden question, isn't it? Because, well, the whole point of my channel in South Carolina was I have enough money to retire at this date. You know, I'm free, I'm financially independent. But, so, Big Red, all right, see you, man. Good to see you, man. I hope it all works out for you. You look great, by the by. Has a cut. Not too bad. I'm about 217 pounds. Need maybe 3 to 5 more to go, if that. So it's going pretty well. Best of luck, Aggies, tonight. Yes, Texas A&M, my beloved Aggies, have made it to the College World Series. Absolute barn burner of a game to beat Oregon the other day, 15-9. So pretty good. Dividend stocks are sweet. Shout out SCHD. Interesting. I don't know much about SCHD. I'll have to look that up. Let me write that down. Notebooks are so underrated. Pencil and paper is the way to go. The amount of information you retain is just next level. Explore SCHD. Good. Appreciate that. Batcats for NC State has high yield dividend ETF for Schwab. Oh, okay. Well, then I have VY. I already have that. Then I just have the Vanguard equivalent, which is VYM, I believe. Yes, VYM. So I don't have to worry about that as much. Yeah, I don't need a dividend ETF. I was talking more individual stocks. You're such a giga chat. I appreciate that. How are we doing today? 3.9 Rontgen. We measure in REM here, sir. Rontgen is the way the Soviets measured things. Rontgen, what's funny is, okay, so the difference between REM and Rontgen is REM is Rontgen equivalent man. The difference really boils down to certain types of radiation have certain, HD is the GOAT dividend stock. It is a really good dividend stock. I was looking to buy back into it south of 300, but I don't think it's going to get that far south. But REM is Rontgen equivalent man, right? So Rontgen equivalent man is, it takes Rontgen, which is just radiation of any kind, but you've got your alpha, your beta, your gamma, and your neutron radiation. Those are the big four. And different, they have different properties. Sub 330, probably the entry point. I think so. I agree with that. But basically what it boils down to is like alpha radiation, a lot of that comes from, say, plutonium. Alpha radiation is not harmful to you at all. Your outermost layer of skin will prevent it unless you inhale it. This is why plutonium is so dangerous, because plutonium dust, right, if you're machining or doing any sort of any physical change or alteration to plutonium, especially in humid weather, plutonium can corrode, and because of that, it causes a safety risk, because plutonium dust or alpha radiation inhaled can cause cancer, especially lung cancer, so that's not good. Beta and gamma radiation, beta you can shield with something a little bit thicker. Gamma radiation you need lead for. So beta and gamma radiation has different, it's got a different weight to it than alpha radiation does, and that's the difference between Rontgen and REM. That's why REM is a much more useful unit, frankly. REM is sort of the American equivalent. Most other countries use the sievert as a radiation dose. Right, so that's radiation dose, and then you've got radiation contamination levels, which is measured in the Curie. So radiation units are kind of funky, but once you learn about them, they make sense. To put it in perspective, though, 3.9 Rontgen, 3.6 Rontgen is equivalent roughly to about 3.6 REM. We're going to go ahead and assume it's beta radiation in this instance, which at Chernobyl it was everything, but we're not going to go that far. As far as that's concerned, right? So, in the scene in Chernobyl, it says it's not 3.6 Rontgen, it's 16,000 or whatever, right? So the amount of REM necessary to basically ensure that you will die is about 1,000. So that gives you an idea of just how horrific Chernobyl truly was. Anyway, what else? I feel like I missed something in chat. Let's see. Mirages, yeah, nice to see you as well. Oh yeah, early retirement. So In South Carolina, the whole plan was, all right, get free, get financially independent, and then do whatever the hell I want. Well, because I basically did that. I got very close, and just as I was quitting my job, I finally hit my financial independence number, right? So I decided to do whatever the hell I want, and I guess that turned out to be move to Hawaii and do a job out here. I get to live in paradise. I get paid well to live in paradise, and I'm having a great time. I've also adjusted my lifestyle to reflect the elevated cost of living out here. Now, am I currently financially independent? Yes. Am I currently financially independent on the amount of money I presently have if I wanted to stay in Hawaii? No. That's the difference. Do I want to stay in Hawaii forever? I don't know. But what I do want to do is experience this job, learn from it what I can learn, build my connections with modeling out here, which I wasn't even expecting to do, and then, oh yeah, God no. There's a reason Kanye West sang that song, right? All the boys in the club say, "We want prenup. We want prenup." Is something you gotta have. But no, regarding financial independence, though, I wanted to do this job. I've also taken a side gig modeling because I got recruited to do it, really. So we'll see where that goes. I've got a couple. I audibly yelled, "Yeah." No, you gotta have a fucking prenup. We want prenup. But I've also got a potential couple of business ventures out here. Well, for those business ventures, it has risk, and there are startup capital costs. So I think it's best for me to do right. I'm right at that transition point where I'm moving from, as I was saying, the E quadrant to more of an I quadrant. But as a bridge to that, it's best if I have, especially with the elevated costs of living out here, it's best if I have a paycheck for a little bit longer. But this is a job I feel like doing anyway. I'm really excited about the job. I like the job. I like who I'm working with. I like what it is that I'm working on. I haven't quite been able to touch the boats yet, but eventually I get to touch the boats, right? Again, I hope some of y'all watch Habitual Line Crosser or watch Mandatory Fun Day, but don't touch the boats. No, who gets to touch the boats? I get to touch the boats. But yeah, like for instance with the job, it's the biggest thing is protecting our 4 customers, right? First customer, I already mentioned earlier, it's the sailors. Yeah, pretty obvious there. Second customer, right? It's the public. The public is, right, anything radioactive has to be dealt with in terms of contamination control, in terms of safety, has to be dealt with, and in terms of public relations, right? Out here, there have been some very justified, there's been some quite justified anger at the U.S. military for what happened at Red Hill. There was a accident that caused a little bit of jet fuel to leak into the water supply. Now, to the extent that we know, it's been cleaned up, but it did a lot of damage to the PR, especially for the U.S. Navy, which is, again, you can figure out what I do. It's not rocket science. So, because of that, it's very elevated, and there's a lot of public scrutiny on us, even if it's completely undeserved, right? So, the nuclear side of the Navy is very different from the people who work at Red Hill, and from who caused and what caused Red Hill. The truth is, if we had more nuclear-powered stuff, we probably wouldn't need Red Hill because we would have less demand for oil, but that's a totally different conversation. The third customer, right, so we've already talked about the public, and we've already talked about the sailors. The third customer is the environment, right? The military does really care about the environment. I know, obviously I was just talking about Red Hill, but in general, right, the military is one of the organizations that, hey, thanks for refollowing there, Talio. I know we're so close to 2,000. I appreciate the refollow there. I don't know why every so often people weirdly get unfollowed for some stupid reason, but right, the environment, military cares about that because we gotta. This is like there is no second Pearl Harbor, there is no second Hawaii. You have to preserve this for future missions. So from a mission standpoint, it's extraordinarily important, and then from a basic ethics standpoint, it's extremely important too. So definitely, we've got to take care of those as three of our four customers, and the fourth customer are the other shipyard workers, right? So, as someone who's as the nuclear guy, it is my role to keep the other workers on the ship safe, not just the sailors, but if someone is, I don't know, working on wiring, and they come across something that wasn't supposed to be there, or they spill something and it's got radioactive potential. It's my job to make sure that everybody stays safe, that nobody gets contaminated, or anything like that. And the truth is, the United States Navy has in general a sterling reputation for its nuclear program, civilian or military, but the U.S. Navy takes it to an even higher level. The reason for this is that in the 1950s, we had an admiral named Hyman Rickover. Admiral Rickover was, as far as I'm concerned, a genius. The man basically pioneered all the frameworks for operating nuclear reactors in the U.S. military. And it's the reason the Navy has a nuclear program and the Army doesn't. The Army tried developing small nuclear reactors, and it fizzled rather spectacularly with the SL-1 disaster in 1961. Most people don't know about that. The Air Force, for its credit, attempted to put nuclear-powered aircraft going on, but nuclear reactors, to remain safe, are heavy, and that doesn't work very well for an airplane. So the Air Force, it kind of fizzled out in the 50s with the Air Force. So the Navy, though, works really well for submarines, aircraft carriers. And frankly, it would work great for a destroyer or, if you wanted to retrofit a battleship, in theory, a battleship. But, they haven't done that. You could absolutely go fully nuclear. The Russians do it as well, but we've got a really good record of safety because Admiral Rickover had a lot of principles that he laid out as a way to run the program. It's a systems way of thinking. For instance, one of the Rickover principles is combat and actively look for deficiencies, right? You should never be criticized for bringing up issues if you see them. It's a culture of, instead of, if something bad occurs, it's not a culture of punish the person who did something bad or punish whoever was next to the event when something bad happened. It was figure out how to learn from this and prevent future incidents from happening. And there's differences, right? You've got incidents, you've got reports, and then you've got deficiencies. And then after deficiencies, you can actually get to the point where someone gets hurt. So it's multiple layers of identifying problems and fixing those problems before something bad is to happen. And because you're that proactive, again, the safety record for the U.S. nuclear Navy is sterling. It's without compare. So definitely pretty good on that front. As far as the financially independent side of it is concerned, so circling back to that, right now, I said, do I still consider myself financially independent? The answer to that question is yes, I do. The reason I consider myself financially independent is because if I really had to, I could always either return to South Carolina and not work there and return to my house, or eventually when I do decide to sell my house, and I do believe that's a when, not an if, I could still move back to a lower cost of living area and do whatever the hell it is I want to do there, right? You can be financially independent in some areas of the world and not financially independent in others. For instance, right, most people who are financially independent aren't necessarily rich enough to be financially independent while living in Manhattan. But why would you put that as the descriptor on there? if you want to be financially independent and live in Manhattan, yeah, it's going to take many millions of dollars to do that. But unless you are working in a really high paying job in Manhattan, why would you want to live in Manhattan, for instance? And the same thing, to a lesser extent, applies here in Hawaii. I mean, obviously, there are reasons you would want to live in Hawaii that are not related to work here, but it's just you have to be reasonable about these sorts of things. You have to understand that this is a very high cost of living area, and adjust your expectations accordingly. So I like working out here. I like what I do. And because of that, I still feel as though I'm financially independent. If I needed to quit, I could. I just couldn't stay here, which sucks, but it's like, is that really a big deal? I don't think so. I don't think so. I could do the van life route. I could go back to South Carolina and do what I was doing in 2023. I don't think I'd want to do that, but I was happy in South Carolina. I just think I'm happier here. Frankly, one of the things I'm happiest about is that I get to, I get to go, I get to go every day and bike to work and come back. And y'all have seen my bike at this point, but I feel exhilarated and I feel full of energy when I come into work every single day, because I've been flying down a hill, whizzing along on my bike, burning calories and getting my heart rate up. And because of that, I come into work full of energy. I don't need coffee. Occasionally I will still have a nice cup of tea, mostly because there are so many Asian grocery stores here, so I can get like all the really, really good tea I want, and I'm a sucker for it. But I like it because it's the way it tastes. Even if it was decaf, I would still drink it. Tea's also got antioxidants and other good things for you in it, and it's an appetite suppressant, so also very good for a cut. Highly recommend hot tea. Good for you. Also, just, I don't know, something very comforting about it, even in a hot environment. But, for financial independence, okay. So let's say I do decide, all right, I want to be financially independent and continue living in Hawaii and stop working my job. My first guess is that I would be able to cut my hours and not, I could work sort of a hybrid approach, see if I could work 20 hours a week or maybe take some sabbaticals, something like that. Not get a full year and 50 weeks a year's pay, but not be completely off. Or I could continue working at full-time job for a few more years, and then I'd be financially independent out here. I could do it either way. The other option is I could cut my expenses out here. I'm not living a poverty spec life out here. I decided to move into a very nice apartment. In fact, I even waited an extra month and stayed with my friend because I really wanted to go to this particular apartment because there's a gym there, and because it's in a really nice area, and because it's a little bit higher up, and the view's really nice, and the apartment was really nice, and it's safe. Like there's lots of benefits to it. So there's also a pool there, so I can have some fun meeting other people. You know what I mean? So there's lots of those types of benefits. But all of those are extras, right? Those are expenses that aren't things. If I wanted to truly be financially independent and stop working, those aren't expenses I would have to keep. So I think, let me see here. I need to refresh my Twitch real quick. I think my laundry is done, so I'm going to go move it to the dryer, and I will be back in just a little bit. There we go. Give me just one moment, y'all, okay? Appreciate that, y'all. Welcome on back. Had to just move the clothes over to the dryer. There is actually drying lines here, but I didn't want to have you guys waiting for that long. I may end up doing that at my new place and just line drying my clothes. It's actually, for the most part, fairly dry here. It's much more humid on the other side. So what you've got in Hawaii, for the most part, are the trade winds. The trade winds come in from the northeastern side, right? I guess facing you guys. And they kind of come in from the northeastern side. So you've got what we call the windward and the leeward side, especially here on Oahu, right? The windward side is going to be that northeastern chunk of the island before you hit the mountains. The trade winds come in and it makes it very, very lush, very, very rainy, and very, very green. Over the mountains, as you get over to the leeward side, which is where Honolulu, Pearl Harbor, Kapolei, that sort of southwestern side of the island is, the weather is a lot drier because most of that rain doesn't make it over the mountains. Now, sometimes you'll get a flip where the rain comes in from the west. This isn't common, though. As a result, it's actually quite dry, especially as you head over west towards, say, Kapolei, Ewa Beach, Waianae, that area. It's not very rainy. So that's the big difference. It's a lot sunnier, it's a lot drier, but as a result, you can keep your if you wanted to dry your clothes, all you'd have to do is hang them outside and they dry naturally. Weather here, as you would expect, is pretty much perfect. Let's see. Right now, the temperature out is 9:55 in the morning here. It is currently 81 degrees out. The high today is going to be 87. The low will be 75, and that's basically how it's going to be for the next week. Some rain, some sun, but it's going to be pretty much consistently highs between 86 and 88, lows between 74 and 76. So it's basically nice forever, always. So that's pretty nice. There's not much in the way of storm systems coming, but a little bit of precipitation here and there just coming over from the windward side. Not too much though. As compared to, let's see how it is in Washington State, where I was previously. Oh wow, the high's only going to be 61 today. Be mostly rainy and cloudy weather in the 50s. Brr. And let's see how it is in Plano today. Ooh, lovely. 96 degrees out with a real feel of 108. Air quality is poor, and there is an air quality alert because it's actually ozone. The state of Texas and Dallas County, I believe it's Collin County, Tarrant County, Travis County, Bexar County, and Harris County have issued ozone warnings because of how many automobile emissions there are. In other words, car emissions due to traffic right now in most of these Texas cities have gotten so bad that it is causing breathing quality to go down, much in the same way that it used to in Los Angeles and still some days does in Los Angeles. So Texas, that's not ideal. So you've got an ozone warning, it looks like. Let's take a look, see exactly what it's saying. See. Yep, air quality alert due to ozone. Looks like there's a big heat wave. Interestingly enough, gas prices are lower this summer. I hadn't really noticed on either account because the weather doesn't change out here, and nor do gas prices. It's $4.75 a gallon, and it looks like it's just gonna always be $4.75 a gallon. Just kind of what it is. So I think it's pretty heavily subsidized, actually. So if it were the free market, you would actually see gas prices closer to probably $7 or $8 a gallon out here. One might hope. I get around, honestly, just the traffic alone is a good reason for why I would not want to drive a car most of the time. I may own a car in the future here. If I get one, it'll be one of those small Japanese K cars because I don't need anything bigger, and this island is not very big. You're not going to ever really go much faster than about 55, 60 miles an hour, and that's assuming traffic isn't slowing you down, which most of the time it is. So there's not much point in owning, a big highway cruiser, a car that can eat up the road for hundreds of miles because there aren't hundreds of miles that you can drive on here. Oh. Excuse me. Let's see what else we got going on. So this week, I am moving to the new place. I already talked about that. I already showed y'all. I guess I can show. I don't really want to show the address. Yeah, I'm not gonna show that. That's probably not a good idea. Maybe my VIPs. I'll show them a picture of the new place. But y'all get a full tour next weekend. So next weekend, things will probably be a little bit less hectic. I will be, hopefully by that point, starting to acquire some of the basic household items. Ooh, I did get a pressure cooker. I'll show you guys this. This thing's awesome. So this is, the pressure cooker is probably one of the most, if not the most, misunderstood pieces of kitchen technology that there are. It is unbelievably useful, and it uses the idea of it's basically the ideal gas law a little bit. So basically, not the ideal gas law, but it's more or less the chemical properties of water. So the way a pressure cooker works is that water, as we know, boils at roughly 212 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, or roughly 100 degrees Celsius. But if you were to say, hang on a sec. There we go. Oh, come on. There we go. If you were to say, lock it and put it under pressure, it turns out that the water won't boil until about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. What this means is you can cook food very, very quickly in this. For instance, if you've got dried beans and you'd like to make, beans, or like to make them refried, or you'd like to make them just boiled beans in general, if you put them in a rice cooker or just a pot, it'll take hours, and you've got to sit there, you've got to stir them occasionally. In a pressure cooker, it'll take 20 minutes, if that, probably less. But it's really quite nice in that respect. So you put it under a fair amount of pressure, and then this little valve up here, you turn it to the seal setting. You wait for this little yellow button to pop up. You lock it down, and then you release it, or you don't release it. You turn it to the steam valve. Steam comes out of here, and then you can release it, and then it comes off. So it's pretty nice. I do think I need to oil the gasket. I do not believe I did that recently. There's no cracks in it. Gasket's in good shape. I just needed to lubricate it. So yeah, highly recommend getting a pressure cooker. They're extremely useful, and they're very multi-purpose. So it's one of those things where, right, a pressure cooker can replace, oh gosh, probably a good solid, I don't even know how many, probably a good solid 5 or 6 different pots and pans in your kitchen. Now, I may still get a rice cooker on top of this, but that's just because I really like having a basic rice cooker. It's nice because you click one button and it does it, and you don't even have to, like with this, you still have to, check it and then make sure to switch it so it doesn't explode, because pressure cookers will do that, but it's not that bad. I'm gonna put that down there. There we go. So that's been one. There'll be a couple other items I'm gonna try and get this week. Basic cutlery. I've already kind of gotten a couple other kitchen tools. Then I'm gonna have to make a really big Costco run. Realistically, that's I don't think I'm gonna do much better in terms of getting bulk rice, beans, pasta, potatoes, meat, all your staples. I am going to look at other places and fill them out on that little notebook that I had, but it's unlikely that I'm going to be shopping mostly anywhere other than Costco. The other thing with that pressure cooker too is, so I've talked at length about how great the Costco rotisserie chicken is. It's delicious. You can get multiple meals out of it. It's extraordinarily high protein. It's extraordinarily high value. But the beautiful thing with a pressure cooker is, I've always said, you can take the bones and make soup stock out of them. But that does take a long time. You have to sit there and let it boil all day long. In a pressure cooker, done in 15 minutes. So it's really, really helpful for that. That's just a really good example. And it's about the perfect size. I can throw a chicken carcass in here. Boom. I've got stock not that long after. So, that's more or less all I've got for y'all. I think, let me think a little bit more. I can read a little bit from Your Money or Your Life or something like that if y'all are interested, but it seems like chat's pretty quiet, pretty mellow today. So let's go and see if we're going to raid someone. So I'm really excited for next week. Should be a lot of fun. We got Jacob Lyle. We've got Krulix, Thunder Thighs. What's it, Jacob? I haven't rated him in a little while. Actually, no, I haven't rated Sergeant Thunder Thighs in a hot minute. Let's raid Sergeant. Alright, Thunder Thighs. So that's going to be it for me today. I will probably be live not tomorrow, but next weekend. I will once I'm moved into my permanent place, I should be able to have a much more sane streaming schedule. So it should be a lot of fun, y'all. Thank you all very much for coming out. Talio, thanks for the follow. That's going to be it for me today. So as always, make good decisions. Those decisions form your habits. Those habits form your values. Those values form your actions. Those actions can form an ethos. It'll be the guide start through the rough waters of life. Much love. Come in for the hug, y'all. All right, YouTube, it's been fun.